few weeks back, we were looking at two circumstances that often surround and underpin why we choose not to believe. This is from Proverbs chapter 3. Two circumstances that often accompany choosing to walk away from faith or not to have faith to begin with and not to continue in it, right? And these two circumstances are circumstances of suffering and circumstances of success. So, by way of explanation, either A, everything is going exceptionally well, and therefore, what's the need for God to help, you say? No need, no thanks. Or B, conversely, things are going poorly, and I'm angry inwardly at the deity that allows this to happen, so I say, I don't believe in that sort of God. I don't believe in God. Now, before I met the Lord, I had both of these ideas floating in my head. I didn't need God, I thought. I'm doing just fine on my own. Or conversely, when I was being more honest, what a mess this life is. God, this is your fault, so I don't believe in you. And I also hear these objections constantly when we're sharing about Jesus. Not so much a well-reasoned argument against God as much as kind of this emotional general dissatisfaction with God. I don't need him, or even if he was there, I don't want him because of the choices that he's left the world in. Now, perhaps you're one of those who hold these positions. My question is if that's you, do you really think that these circumstances will last? The circumstances of suffering or the circumstances of success? If you're successful and that without God, will that really go on forever? And should you therefore never open the door to thinking about God or talking about God because things are going so well? I mean, what happens when that success inevitably ends? Or towards the end of your life when you know the success is going to end very soon, and then what? And if you're suffering tremendously or have seen great suffering, I don't want to belittle that, but is it really the case that that will never be made right? Isn't that sense of injustice part of the hope that it actually will be made right? That these injustices are going to be addressed? Is it really right to hold God at bay for these temporary situations of suffering and situations of success? And let me leave you with this last thought. The God of the Bible wants to help us, he says. He's in the business of helping people. Revelations 2, 21, verse 5. Look, I'm making all things new. It actually turns out that God wants us to make us permanent. He wants us to be permanently successful. You might have some tiny success in this life, but God wants to make you brand new. I'm making all things new. That includes you. He wants to make you wildly successful forever. You might suffer now. You might look at injustice now. But God wants to make all those things new. He wants to make them fresh and vibrant. And so God is really addressing some of our questions here. If we're successful, he's saying, but that won't last forever. And if we're suffering, he says, but I will make it new. And so we can open our hearts to possibly thinking about him and his love for us. Okay, so what do you think? Have I addressed a little bit of those underpinnings for why we choose not to believe? There's lots of logical reasons, but this one's a heart reason. What do you think?